Hey guys, and welcome to our next episode of TNCBA's Tips, Tricks, and How-Tos. And this week, it's all about the jerkbait.
It's all about it.
So Kelsey, this seems to be you and your dad's. When you smoke us and you smoke us good, it's on the jerkbait. Guys, you saw it on our Boone videos from last year, from the one in October, then the one in the Classic. You did some damage with the jerkbait. So share with us what your all's focus and your approach to the jerkbait is.
So this is a newfound love for me. Now, Dad, he's been doing this for a while. I've just kind of really got into throwing a jerkbait. So I mean, I've learned a lot about it in the past few months. Really, I mean, it's a lot of progression in it.
Yeah.
Few things that I like. I mean, I like a jerkbait that actually gets some good depth.
Yeah.
But the big thing about your jerkbaits is you want to make sure that when they suspend, they are suspending and they're suspending level, and they're not rising too fast or anything like that,
Or nose down.
or nose
anything
down.
too much.
So balancing is a big thing.
Yeah.
Most of the jerkbaits now that we're using, like the Lucky Crafts and the Mega Bass.
Yes.
You've got a Mega Bass right there in your hand.
Yep.
That's the Mega Bass 110 plus 2, so it's going to get down a little bit deeper. But these baits right now, they're very well balanced.
Yes.
I know with some of the old Smithwick Rattle and Rogues, things
Yeah.
like that, you have to adjust with them and put.
Now
you can do weights.
Now
and,
you pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you pay
You-
a good
you do
price
pay-
for it.
you do pay
but the
for it.
quality is there for the jerkbait. And I think one thing we forget is, in my mind, the jerkbait is a finesse bait. Like,
yeah.
it's not something that I'm not ripping it past them as quick as I can this time of year.
This time of year.
So it's still somewhat of a finesse bait. So it might be sitting there for a few seconds. Gives them a chance to look at it. You need that bait to be sitting right and be set up right.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. One of the people I think of as a jerkbait fisherman, it would be Jeff Creed. I've watched a lot of his videos talking about throwing a jerkbait, and I mean, I just seen a post the other day where he caught a big one on a jerkbait over in Oklahoma. And what he does is, I mean, he'll throw it out there and let it sit and do his twitch, get it down there where the depth he wants it, and then he'll go 15, 20 seconds in between pausing it, just letting that bait sit there. So, I mean, really with these colder temperatures, those are things you got to think of. When it gets cold, you need to slow it down. If it's warmer, speed it up.
Right.
But that's definitely one thing. Like, I mean, he had one that was probably about 6+ pounds.
Yeah.
And he said, how long can you pause?
How long can you pause? And you all have come in. You've even done it in the summertime. I know on going into some of these night tournaments before it gets dark, that you lay into them on a jerkbait and stuff. Now, for you all, I typically am a bait cast guy when it comes to a jerkbait, but you all like a little bit different setup. So share that with us.
I like throwing mine on a spinning rod. I feel like I have a little more control. Dexterity is a little bit better.
Yeah.
On that, I like to. I'm right hand dominant. So therefore, when I put that spinning rod in my hand, I'm reeling with my left, making my motions with my right.
Yeah.
I just feel like I have that's more comfortable to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like I have a better control, better action of what I'm doing with that jerkbait.
No, but that's also key for anglers is, guys, just because you see a pro using this certain type of rod or whatever, you got to be comfortable. If your wrist, if your elbow and stuff, a bait cast rod puts the wrong type of force on that body part, and it's painful and it doesn't work out as well for you, make an adjustment. Don't force it.
More or less for me, it's just making it feel natural.
Yeah.
And with a bait caster in my hand, it just doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like that motion's natural to me. So I mean, you want to definitely be comfortable doing what you do. I mean,
so now in other episodes, you've talked about how you really lean towards 10-pound test line on your reels. What type of rod are we throwing here? What power? What action?
this is a medium heavy rod. This was more of a worm rod, really.
Yeah.
But it's got an extra fast tip, too. So I mean, I don't have a whole lot of tip. I like to be able to
pop that bait.
Be in more, like going back to control. Have that control of that bait. Know what it's doing, and be. If I want it to be aggressive, I've got it.
Right.
If I want to be subtle, I've still got it. Just changing up the cadence of how I'm working my arm or whatever.
Yeah.
And
where you'll go with a little bit more heavy action, the jerkbait rod I have is a medium action, moderate tip, or I think it may be a moderate fast tip. But again, he's got confidence in that. And when he steps out on the water and he picks that rod up and he's throwing that jerk bait, he's got the utmost confidence that you're going to get bit. Your dad's got the utmost confidence. Me, when I pick up that bait cast rod, so you've got to find those little nuances that give you the confidence in that technique, because jerk baiting for me was one that was hard to get some confidence in.
Oh yeah, the same.
As opposed to say cranking in that cold time of the year, early spring, late winter. So I had to get me some confidence in it, and I had to find me the right setup. So you got to find the right thing for you. So Kelsey, as you're fishing this bait, twitches, pauses, we're focused on trying to get lethargic fish to bite. Where are you looking for those lethargic fish with this jerk bait? Because we're not necessarily, unless you find something on Panoptics.
Yeah.
This is not something similar to the Finesse swim baits of last week where I'm fishing a 40-foot, 50-foot drain. What are you looking for as far as a bank or maybe some structure, or what are you looking for?
I like a bank that's got a good depth close to it.
Okay.
Kind of gradual slope, like a 45, something like that, and paralleling it.
Yeah.
You know, really getting the maximum
amount of time in that strike zone.
Yeah.
Definitely. So with that bait and focusing on those 45s, or getting on a even more gentle slope of a flat that's next to a drop off, some deep water nearby, how long do you take? Do you take a lot of time with the same cadence? Do you change it up a lot throughout the day? Or how long do you spend with, let me rephrase this, what you're starting out with? For some people, it might be a twitch, pause. Like, is there a certain cadence you like to start out with?
I normally go between like a 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'll work that through, and I just really try to let the fish show me what they want. I mean, some days that's more difficult, whether they're biting or not. But I mean, I normally do like a 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You know, I switch it up a lot. I do. But like I said, that 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's normally what I'll go to, or a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. I'll go back and forth. But really just figuring out how much time I need to leave in my pause and everything like that, especially with these colder temperatures. You want to give it a little more time.
Now, one other thing that you're typically looking for, and I'm always looking for when it comes to jerkbait, I want some wind.
Yeah.
I want a little bit of a breeze. I don't want it to be completely stagnant and still. I want a little bit of a breeze. So that's why the banks that you're going to choose, the points that you're going to choose, you're looking for areas where wind's either blowing across, blowing into. I really, really like a jerkbait on a post front, breezy day. Skies are high, and typically when it comes to colors on the jerkbait, I'm going to go for something like the Allergy Bone when I've got a little bit of cloud cover, something with that chartreuse stripe or that chartreuse belly.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make a switch up to something that is more translucent, like the Pro Blue that Megabass has on those really, really clear days. So pay attention to your sky conditions and what those fish might be seeing under the water. And again, remember, you want a little bit of a breeze. That's going to help. And typically, the little bit more breeze you have, a lot of times you can pick up that cadence on how quickly you are going through those pauses and those twitches. Now, one other thing that I need to work on a little bit more this year, I feel like, Kelsey, is a lot of guys I hear, they talk about this time of year when it's super cold is kind of a pull. Like, not really a pop, but they'll kind of just drag it and let that pause. Drag it and let that pause. So instead of these quick darts and dashes everywhere, it moves. Because we're really trying to mimic that bait. And if we're having a shad kill, which this year's been a little bit, we've had more stable cold weather. I know that sounds kind of weird because typically when we talk about stable, we're talking about being warm. But this year it's kind of stayed cold. And I feel like our water temperatures, some of them I've heard like low 40s down on Cherokee and stuff, and some of our surrounding lakes. So I feel like maybe trying that pause, trying that little bit more subtle run out of that jerkbait might play into those fish's wheelhouse a little bit more and get some more strikes. So Kelsey, as far as, do you change anything about the hooks? Go with the standard hooks that are there?
Honestly, especially with the Megabass, those hooks that are on there, those are sharp hooks. I mean, the only thing I suggest is get a rubber net because it is pretty rough getting those things out of there. But they are very, very sharp.
But one thing I did not notice, and this is me just being just oblivious and just picking up a bait and casting it, I did not realize, Kelsey, that the barb is reversed on these megabass hooks. It's on the outside.
Yep.
It is not on the inside. That barb is on the inside or on the outside of it. I don't know if you can even see that there, guys. But that barb, I'll figure out where everything's at, is actually reverse on these megabass jerk baits. But guys, these hooks that come on these, the Lucky Crafts, all of those high-end jerk baits are excellent. They're super sharp, and like Kelsey said, you even got to be careful when it comes to getting around those nets and stuff. But Kelsey, do you have anything else for us as far as what you kind of think about? When do you think that the jerk bait has its kind of prime spot? Are you leaning more towards that transition as they're starting to move up a little bit?
I really think about times when these fish are going to be feeding. So, going into your winter months or coming out of your winter months, when those fish are kind of going to be going after bait, doing things like that. They're moving. They're doing things.
They're not quite as lethargic, per se.
Those are the really key times when they really, really shine, I believe. I think you can speed it up, get that reaction bite, but in the wintertime, like we said, it is another finesse type bait to use.
And it's something on those days where it's really hard to get a bite, you can let that bait pause. Whereas either you got a Demiki to get right over top of them, still even with the finesse swim bait, it's constantly kind of moving. The tight line's constantly kind of moving. This is something you can let sit still for those suspended fish.
Exactly.
It's almost somewhat, in some cases, like a jig. It's like a suspending jig, because I know that sounds really weird and might have been a horrible way of trying to make that sound. But I feel like you can let it sit there for a second. You can soak it just like you can a jig and stuff. So, guys, when it comes to jerkbait fishing, if you're anything like me, it's hard to get some confidence in that. But from this point on to the spawn, put a jerkbait on your front deck, go out, take you a day, take you a half day, or say, hey, for these 3 hours, I'm not throwing anything else. I'm going to throw a jerkbait, get you a few bites so you got some confidence in it. As you get that confidence, then start to play around. Make some changes. See, okay, I like this line a little bit better. I like this rod. I like for this type of jerkbait, whatever it may be, but find your nuances. And as Kelsey can attest to, once you get some confidence in it, it
becomes a lot easier to throw it.
It's going to become a main player in your all's tackle box. So, guys, we hope you've learned a little bit from this tips, tricks, and how-tos. We'll see you on the next episode.